People, Deluded, I'm back again. Now, it's an interesting season, or it's going to be an interesting season, or at least it's including last season. I'd say it's an interesting 3 seasons, including last season, this upcoming one, and the next one. Again, potential is just potential, but there's a lot of young players that need to make the next steps and whatnot, and a lot of clubs, ourselves included, find it hard to balance the development path, the projects, and whatnot. If you look at just 23s, for example, I'm very interested to see what happens at 23's level, because I know we're going to play Boreham Wood. We'll speak about that in another vid. We're playing Boreham Wood tomorrow. It's going to be an interesting season for the 23's. Bould isn't a new coach, but a new coach in terms of Lumberg and him have reversed roles. So everybody essentially starts again. Obviously, Bould's probably watched them and has his opinion, but players that might have been a shoe-in under Lumberg might not be guaranteed. Players that never got a look in under Lumberg might get a look in. Do you get it, people? So everybody starts from zero. It's an interesting season. A lot of these young players need to be making progress, whether that's first team football here or elsewhere, whether that's getting 20 minutes here and there. 23's football is a graveyard. Not everybody needs to rush off and leave and do other things, and just because you're playing it at 20 years of age doesn't mean you're not going to be a player. But in terms of development, it's not the best place, and it's going to be an interesting season. For instance, if you look at Eddie Nketiah, someone who I believe, based on his logic, if he wants to stay and compete with Aubameyang and Lacazette, he'll be part of the first team. He'll fly around for their various fixtures, but how many minutes will he get? Based on last season, they would be minimal. So with that, in terms of keeping match fit and stuff, you'd be inclined to believe he's going to play 23's football. And Joe Willock as well. Two players who I believe shouldn't be playing 23's. They've got something to offer men's football somewhere, if not here. But if they're going to do that to keep match fit, you've got to remember Eddie's a striker. He's more likely to be a top choice. You've got at the end of the scale, I believe he's last in the pecking order, but things can change. And if he develops very quickly, I want him to make his debut this season. Sam Greenwood, who can play in a couple of positions, probably known for playing up front. He's probably behind everybody at this moment in time. He is the youngest. We've got to take our time with him. You've got Balogun, who signed a new deal, who turned 18 a couple of days ago, stepping up to 23's. You've got Tyrese John-Jules, who isn't far behind Eddie in terms of pushing into the first team picture. Been on the bench in the Europa League, went to Dubai, probably going off with the first team in pre-season. Obviously, you can play three strikers, but game time is going to be difficult to imagine how these lot manage them, because you can't play all the time. Do you get it, people? Like I said, Greenwood can play in a couple of roles. Probably towards the end of the under 18s campaign, he found himself on the right wing, so he can play on the right, left. I believe he could potentially have a future as a 10 as well as up front. Balogun is behind Tyrese, and so is Eddie. If Eddie stays for 6 months, if Eddie goes on loan, then these lot will get more game time. But say Eddie stays and then goes on loan in January, what happens there? Tyrese John-Jules is someone, in my opinion, who's probably a candidate to go out on loan, if not now in January, because again, I think he can be a bit more clinical at the 23's level, but he's shown enough that he can test himself against grown men, and he strikes me as someone that wants to do that. Balogun may be the same as well. Like I said, behind Tyrese and Eddie in the pecking order, and wants to get 23's minutes. He signed a new deal, so he must believe he can make it here. I actually didn't release the vid, but if I was Balogun and I saw the pathway and the contract was there, and I had this interest from Germany and stuff, I might consider it. They've all got great potential, not just to play at Arsenal, to play somewhere. I think we're going to have a couple of players that put the academy in a good light, but it is going to be interesting. And if you're Tyrese, contract not running out, but contract, the time's ticking on your contract. Yeah, you've flown around and whatnot, but you've got a striker ahead of you, excluding the two in Aubameyang and Lacazette. How much game time really can you get at this club in the next season or season and a bit? If you go out on loan, cool. If Emre clearly rates him quite highly, gives him chances, then cool. But you've got to think minutes are currency. A loan has to be on the agenda for Tyrese and a couple of these lots within the first, if not the first 6 months of the season, the second. So it'll be I'm very interested to see how we juggle and manage and get around that, to be honest, people, because you've got them, you've got Amici and Saka. Now, I don't want to read too much into players not being involved in Boreham Wood, but Saka's not involved in the Boreham Wood fixture, allegedly. Of course, Emre, I think it's changed from first team fixture to the 23's, but of course first team players could feature in it, but they're not. Saka's not in that, which inclines you to believe he's going to be in first team training when the boys return. And we shouldn't read too much into that as well, people, because you shouldn't read too much into that because a lot of these players will get a chance to fly away and play on the Emre because of the amount of players on holiday and things. A couple young players, I believe, will get flown out and stuff like that. But we'll see. For the likes of, if you look at Amici, Saka, if we read between the lines, Saka's not involved, so he's going to be with the first team. Amici's with the 23. So I don't want to say he's behind, he's below, because I think it's neck and neck. But right now you're with the 23s. You want to be where Amici is in that. I mean, not Amici, Saka, in that you're going with the first team. I believe you look at Amici, it's a difficult season because he's had some injuries last year, but he's got the talent to step up and get a 20 minutes here and there. I think if he can't get a pathway here, he needs to go somewhere that, if not going to play him straight away, gradually you're going to get there. Because I do believe he's good enough for a league start, an appearance here, an appearance there, a couple of moments here and there. Him and Saka, we really need to make inroads in regards to that. And obviously when you've got Saka, Amici, Martinelli, imagine Zaha came on top of Reece Nelson, regardless of what you think of Mkhitaryan and Iwobi, they've occupied wide spots. There's a lot of wingers that can go on people. There's a lot of positions. So I'm keen to see how we manage them, how we manage a lot of talents this season as well as next. If I look at the centre-half area as well, Mark McGuinness is going to step up from the 18s to the 23s. You've got Harrison Clark there, but first choice centre-half, Daniel Ballard, has gone out on loan to Swindon. Good for him. He wants to get first-team football and that. That's great for him. Do you get it, people? It's good for him. But at the same time, who's going to play centre-half? Because if I'm Medley and I'm seeing Ballard go out on loan, I'm trying to do the same thing. Of course, Medley's is different because he's made his debut. He's in the thinking of Emre allegedly to some capacity. And from what I hear, allegedly he's quite highly rated within the club. So that he might want to stay local and things like that. But how much football is he going to get at first team level, realistically? You probably get more football at left back at first team than he probably would at centre-half. Does he go out on loan? To which, who plays centre-half? You've got Harry Clark, who I believe is playing for his future. You've got a couple of players playing for their futures. I believe Matthew Dennis, I think he's stepping up to this level. I believe Oli Inco, even though he signed a new deal. I believe Bowler, Thompson playing at left back. Even you saw him playing in a couple of advanced positions last year. A couple of lads are playing for their futures realistically, and even a couple of them I can't see the pathway here for them. But we'll see, man. It's going to be an interesting summer. But for now, people, DG, I'm out.